It's a competitive job market out there. Think about this. Over 4 million college grads will be hitting the job market next year. And for most of them, job interviews are a mystery. They have no idea what the interviewer is going to ask, they're not sure about how to answer, and their success is not guaranteed. The clients I work with get multiple offers in 60 days or less. I'm Paul Geiger with Public Speaking Advantage, and I work with students, recent grads, and young professionals on nailing their interviews and getting the job offers that they want, not having to settle for something that isn't even in the career of their choice. I don't want to see anyone go through that. So I've put together an interview checklist of both the tools and the exercises that you need to have in your back pocket so that you stand out as a top candidate at every interview. Feel free to stop the video at any time and take notes. Are you ready? Let's dive in. All right. Well, in order to be ready for anything, you need a good set of tools. So let's start off with 3 of the most important. Here's our first tool set. And that is a combination of conversation igniters, storytelling magnets, and universal keywords. What do I mean by that? Conversation igniters, well, we all want interviews to feel just like a conversation. So if you're able to give a little bit of content that will spark a reply and possibly an engagement and a connection with your interviewer, then you want to utilize those things. You don't necessarily want to tell them what they want to hear, but more what you want to tell them. And that's where storytelling magnets come in. The quality of the stories that you tell and the stories that you choose from your life experience have a big bearing on whether you stand out as a top candidate. So knowing what those stories are, there are certain categories of stories that do check all of the boxes in the interviewer's mind that immediately makes them light up and understand the passion that drives you. Universal keywords. When you can listen for the words that actually describe both your conversation igniters and your storytelling magnets within the questions that the interviewer is posing, suddenly you have the perfect answer. Next in our toolbox, we have company clarity and insightful questions. By company clarity, it means how to do your due diligence and really discern what the company is all about, a combination of mission statement, past successes, and aspirational mission to move forward. All of those things need to be one of the tools, one of a set of tools that you have in place. Obviously, knowing how to research the company in the right way will lead you to an all-important thing, which is insightful questions. How many times have you been in an interview where they say, "Do you have any questions?" Well, usually the response is, no, I don't think so, because you're just so thankful for the interview to be over. But what if you had a really insightful question? In fact, what if you didn't wait until the end of the interview, but had several insightful questions that show your understanding of what the company is, what they're known for, and what they're looking to do and how you can help them do it? Next in our toolbox, we have role relevance and resume pitch. Role relevance means understanding the skill set that you bring, the experiences, the understanding, the ability, the aspiration, all of those things, how they connect with the role that you are interviewing for. Resume pitch is being able to answer that all-important, not question, but request. Walk me through your resume, understanding how that works, and really what interviewers want to know, the various questions. You need to have that all in line so that when they ask about your resume or when you're talking about your resume, you know exactly how to frame it. Next up in our toolbox is your weakness response. One of the most difficult questions in any interview is, tell me about your greatest weakness. We can certainly talk for all day about our strengths, the things that we know we do really well, but how do you respond to the weakness question. So having that worked out in a way that works for you and also shines a good light on your self-awareness and your understanding is an all-important tool to have in your toolbox. Next, course correction. Everything can go a little off kilter at times in interviews for whatever reason. Perhaps and it could be something out of your control. It could certainly be the interviewer not responding in a way that you expected, or it could be them simply responding in a way that is not conducive to where you want to take things. Understanding how you course correct within that situation is all important. So having those tools in place and knowing how to use them, key to being a standout at interviews. And finally, what is your closing statement? Now, when that question comes up, as I mentioned before, do you have any questions? You do want to be able to roll in a bit of what you want to be known for. It will probably be a combination of so many of the things that you've already said, but it shouldn't be random. It should be that stamp. It should be you closing the loop so the feeling is complete at the end of that interview. So there you have it, your toolbox. These are the 10 essential tools that I want you to make sure you have before you embark on your very next interview. Knowing what the tools are that you need to have in your back pocket is great, but you also need exercises so that you can make sure that you're delivering consistently every single time. So the first exercise that I suggest is that you check your camera, your lighting, and your background. What do I mean by that? Make sure that whatever camera you're using, whether it's the camera on your laptop or a separate camera, that it's at eye level so that we're not looking up your nose or looking down on you. Either way is not incredibly flattering. By lighting, I mean make sure that you have good front lighting. Not necessarily lighting throughout the room. That would be nice to have soft lighting there, but make sure that when you are on screen in a virtual situation that you show up and we can see you very, very well because of your front lighting. As far as the background goes, don't just leave it to be, well, this is what my bedroom looks like. Pick a corner if you can, or even better, if you have a bookcase behind you, that's great. Even things that are on the wall can be good because your background is an invitation into your world. While they're watching you on the screen, they're also peripherally looking at the things that are going on behind you. Next, we have reducing your anxiety. Yes, there are exercises for that. It begins with understanding that there are always going to be some forces at work whenever you are in a high-stakes environment. And certainly when you're doing either a video in recording or you're doing a video one-on-one, there is going to be some higher stakes. So things like the energy of attention, the sense of judgment, the fear of consequences, it all feeds into it. Having exercises you can do prior to and within the interview to reduce that and raise your confidence level is extremely, extremely important. Next, we have your voice. Because of the high stakes and because of some of that public speaking anxiety when you're in the spotlight, you may be speaking too quickly. So understanding what you can do to slow down your pace. Again, raise the amount of confidence that the interviewer has that you know who you are and where you're going. Also, reducing filler words is a big part of all of this because filler words can make it seem like you're unsure. Anything that does that to your delivery should be eliminated and needs to be practiced on a regular basis so when the moment comes, you're able to shine. Tweaking your tone matters quite a bit. You certainly don't want to be monotone. You don't want your voice to all just be at one pitch and in one rhythm. But you also want to make sure that you're not falling victim to something called upspeak. Because there's always more information you want to give. A lot of the sentences end going up. And it's a little strange because it makes the interviewer think that, wait a minute, that's not a question. That was a statement. Are you asking me to validate what you've just said? In other words, it lowers the amount of confidence. Next, we have overstuffing and listening behaviors. What I mean by overstuffing is you need to get to the point. You certainly want to embellish a little bit, but so often, again, going back to reducing anxiety, well, sometimes when that anxiety gets a little too high, we start to circle around what it is we're trying to say rather than stating it very, very clearly. And part of that is understanding what listening behaviors really are, because we do connect and resonate very quickly with someone who's giving a clear idea of what it is that they're talking about. So there are exercises that you can do to make sure that your stories are connected in the right way and put together with the right structure and framework. Next, we have your body language. Are you gesturing for impact? Yes. It makes a difference even when you're on the phone because it comes through in your voice. So making sure that you are not just gesturing wildly, but that you're timing your gestures so that the gestures are falling on the words you want to emphasize. That's what we mean by gesturing for impact. Next, engaging eye contact. If you are in a virtual situation, like the one you're looking at right now, making sure that you're looking right into the camera to make that connection. You don't always have to look into the camera, but making sure that you're not looking off or looking up or down too far away. I always tell everyone, when you are on camera, an inch is a mile. So be aware of eye contact and how important that really is. Next, you need to do exercises to make sure that you're maintaining a clear agenda. This goes back to understanding some of the tools that you have, some of the conversation igniters, the storytelling magnets, the keywords, but staying clear to what your closing statement really is. How do you maintain that clear agenda? There will be little bumps in the road, but you can bring it back. You can course correct and stay right on your agenda for that interview. So, these are exercises that you need to do on a regular basis, expecting yourself to simply know what the tools are and then know how to use them in a moment's notice or even in a day or 2 or 3 days' notice is asking way too much of just about anyone. So, exercises that you can do on a regular basis to hold yourself accountable makes it so much easier when those big moments are on their way. And when they actually arrive. So there you have it. The tools and the exercises you need to be a standout candidate in any interview. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to DM me or comment below this video. I'm happy to give advice. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. There's a lot more where this came from. So good luck on all of your interviews as you make your way through a spectacular career.